that I can't see when we go live.
Well, Pops, maybe you got to use your eyes more, man.
Get rid of this thing. Hey, it's noon here in Ventnor, New Jersey, and no, not Charlotte, North Carolina, because yet again, Mother Nature played a nasty trick on Zach and I yesterday when only 1,500 plus flights were canceled due to weather. So this is the news that you can use from CarEdge with your hosts, Zach and Ray, for, a Monday, July 17th.
Let's jump right into it, Dad. Big news this morning from Ford Motor Corporation. Let's kick things off right here. Give me one quick second, and I'll get it pulled up on the screen. Ford has slashed pricing for their F-150 Lightning. Wow. That's a big deal, folks. We're going to dig into the numbers here in just a second. We're also going to go down memory lane and talk about what Ford pricing used to be, has become, etc. This comes from Farzad over on Twitter. Ford F-150 Lightning, new prices just announced this morning. The Pro, $49.9, so $50,000 for the entry-level Ford F-150 Lightning. XLT Standard, $55,000. XLT Extended Range, $70,000. The Lariat Standard, $70,000. Lariat Extended, $77,500. And the Platinum, your casual $92,000 electric pickup truck. Dad, super interesting because these prices are down about 15 to 20% across each of the models or each of the trims, 17% being the highest amount. What do you make of this? Let's get your take initially.
I think Ford will probably reevaluate exactly how much the EV division will lose this year. The original estimate was $3 billion. My supposition is that it will be much higher than that now that they've reduced the prices, because they've reduced the prices, but my guess is they haven't really reduced the costs. So it's costing them more per car, and they're losing more per car to continue selling them. And they're forced to do that because, their sales have slowed dramatically. The vehicles aren't nearly as desirable as Tesla vehicles seem to be. And Tesla doesn't even have a pickup truck at the moment, although I understand that they have built their first Cybertruck.
Is it a Tesla story, though, or is it a Ford story? What I mean by that is Ford can't sell these things. Let's just be very real about it. They can't sell them. Inventory's starting to build up. I don't even think it's a Tesla story. It's a Ford story.
Well, the reason I think it's partially a Tesla story is if Tesla didn't exist, would people buy the Fords? What came first? And I think Tesla has built a following and a reputation. Ford has built a reputation over the past 2.5 years.
How can you say... I don't know if I want to go down this path too far, Pops. How can you say Tesla has built a brand and a reputation? Ford's the company that's been around for 100 years. And the only reason people keep buying their things, we're going to talk about in a little bit, leading the league in recalls. The only reason people feel an affinity towards Ford is because they feel connected to that community and that brand. I don't know. I don't know if I think this is actually as much about Tesla as you're making it out to be. I think it's about Ford trying to branch into a new market, realizing that A, their products have deficiencies in them, and B, they're priced inappropriately. Customers are just refusing to buy them at those prices.
Well, we've always said they were priced inappropriately. We've always said that the pricing for legacy manufacturers' electric vehicles were higher than they should be in comparison to the major player in electric vehicles. And that major player, whether we want to acknowledge them or not, is Tesla. And so that impacts what happens at Ford or GM or all the others. Ford's problems are much deeper than people just don't want to buy Ford electric vehicles at the moment. One of the articles I sent you for today's show was that, once again, the leader in the clubhouse for number of recalls this year, affecting, I think it was 4.1 million vehicles, is Ford. And the overall leader for recalls last year was Ford. And for the year before that was Ford. So, perhaps you have this combination of not being able to adequately produce quality vehicles for the last several years. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the vehicles that you are producing that aren't of the quality that you'd like them to be are higher priced than they've ever been. So that the value to quality ratio is just not there.
let's take a peek at the historical pricing for the F-150 and tuck in here a little bit with me, Pops. I feel like, I need you a little closer with me, a little closer.
Maybe I don't want to be that close this morning.
Back in 2022, January of 2022, Ford announced the full pricing lineup for their F-150 Lightning. Do you remember, Dad, what the entry level
39 grand?
$39,974.
Okay.
All right. So Ford's original pricing for the Lightning Pro was $39,974. All it takes is one quick Google search, because the Google machine is still catching up, folks. The Pro, previous to this $10,000 price drop, was a $60,000 truck. They had increased the price. We have proven time and time again we're not good at math. But that's a $20,000 price increase, now leading to a $10,000 price decrease. You look at some of the other trim levels, Dad. The XLT was supposed to be a $53,000 truck. The Lariat, a $67,000 truck. And that Platinum still at the $91,000 mark. Ford had gone well above these price points in their pursuit of trying to make money off of these vehicles. Then they came out and said, you know what, we actually don't make money on our electric vehicles. Now they're coming back around $10,000 price cuts across nearly all of those trims. The only reason you're making that decision, if you've publicly come out and said we don't make money on our EVs, the only reason you're making that decision is because do you want to make less? I don't get it. I just don't understand.
It's not that you want to make less. It's an admission that you've priced your vehicles too high. That's what it is. That's the admission that we tried to get greedy so that we could cut down on the size of the loss per electric vehicle sold. And that hasn't worked out very well. And so now we have to try and get back to our lower price point routes to see if that might spur some sales. EVs, statistically, the sales have slowed down dramatically. There have been a number of articles about that. We have also seen that EV inventory, especially for non-Teslas, has grown dramatically while sales have slowed. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. And car manufacturers know that if they're not selling at X price, well, then you need to lower it, because if it's not selling when it's this high, it's you got to lower it to get somebody to get interested in it. So they realize they have to drop the price, so they're dropping the price. Will that spur enough interest in the vehicle? I doubt it.
You want to know one other factor in all of this, Dad, that I find to be very interesting? The actual available inventory for Lightnings right now in the market,
yes,
they're not the entry-level options. We've covered the story. We have some more. Justin on our team pulled some data. He's going to be writing an article for this week's newsletter back at CarEdge.com. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, you should be. We're doing an analysis of entry-level trucks, entry-level trim. Here's the first page of results for the Ford F-150 Lightning back on CarEdge.com. We've got a $92,530 Platinum, a $70,000 Lariat, an $88,000 Lariat, an $80,000 Lariat, a $90,000 Lariat. Our first XLT at a measly $65,000. We've got another Platinum at nearly $100,000. A Lariat at $88,000. I'm going to go just through the first page here, folks, because maybe there's a Pro at the bottom of the page.
I doubt it.
A Lariat at $74,500. We've got a Lariat at $88,000. We've got a Lariat at $83,000. We've got a Platinum at $99,564. A Lariat at $88,499. None of these trucks, an XLT at $85,000 and a Lariat at $89,000. These price drops, they don't really matter for those of us who could potentially afford a $50,000 truck, a $40,000 truck. They don't impact that because there's none of them that Ford has intentionally made.
If you don't build them, okay. If you don't build them, you can't sell them. Dude, so it's great to say. It's great to say that you have a $49,900 entry level electric pickup truck. It's great to say that. There's only one problem. If you don't ever build them, you don't really have a $49,900 electric pickup truck. And the prices of the vast majority of the trucks is so ridiculously high. I don't know how anybody could buy them. And when I say anybody, I mean anybody. I don't know how you can justify 90 some thousand dollars for the platinum edition electric pickup truck or $85,000 for a Lariat. You're not buying a house. You're buying a pickup truck that if you use it as a pickup truck or you pull things with it, the expected range from that electric vehicle drops dramatically. So it's not even a good work vehicle.
Those Pros are, primarily fleet vehicles. I saw the comment in the chat come through, sort by price. Okay, let's sort by price. Let's look at this. So there are Pros obviously for sale, 45,000,
2022s.
They are 2022s. There we go. We've got some 2023s
Okay.
coming soon.
Coming soon, sure.
Let's take a quick peek at one of these Pros, $51,000 Pro. I'm curious, what is supposedly the market day supply is 22 days, 47 for sale, 96 have sold in the last 45 days. I believe that. I believe that the demand for a $50,000 Ford F-150 Lightning is quite high. Let's do the inverse. Let's hit the back button here. Let's sort now, not by lowest. Let's sort by highest. So we've got our $100,000. This is a Lariat. Let's do the platinum.
Yeah, and let's see what the day supply.
We're in Jacksonville, Florida for this one.
Okay. There.
For those of you that listen to the podcast, the day's supply in Jacksonville, Florida for a Ford F-150 Lightning Platinum is 495 days because there's 11 of them advertised for sale, but only one is sold in the last 45 days. If I'm Ford, Dad, I can't lower my prices fast enough. And the reason legitimately I cannot lower my prices fast enough is because I made too many high-level trim options. I don't even have the right product mix.
We discussed that Saturday night, that the manufacturers decided, and Ford is one of those manufacturers, they decided to abandon the middle class. They decided to abandon people of just average means.
You're giving me an idea. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. What they've decided to do is just play in the high-end market with a limited amount of people that are in it that can actually afford to buy these things. That was a business decision that they made. As it's turning out, it was the wrong damn decision to make. At some point, all these manufacturers have to realize that as we discussed Saturday night, there is an affordability crisis for new vehicles in America, and it needs to be addressed. And so the CEOs of these companies who have okayed this concept of just going upper end market, when you see Jeep Grand Wagoneers for $111,000, and you're not really a luxury brand, that indicates to me that you've just made the wrong bet. Okay, so it's time to pull back your bet, go back to what made you successful initially, which was manufacturing and shipping affordable vehicles.
I think one of the things that's going to be tricky about this, Dad, is I've got to imagine that changing gears for no pun here, changing gears at an automaker is like stopping a moving train. It takes
miles.
Yeah, the decision that they're going to make today. The holy cow, our inventory is sitting because holy cow, we priced it too high. That decision will have a ramification 3 years from now.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's the break. And at the same time, the counter argument, devil's advocate to everything that we're discussing are headlines like these. Mitsubishi's China venture with GAC to cut staff costs after SUV sales dive. All right, we're talking about one of the most inexpensive automakers in the world, Mitsubishi, cutting production because their sales dive. So maybe we're wrong. Maybe the consumers are out there.
Was that in China?
That is, but I think it's still...
so that's, I think, a different market than the United States. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So I don't think that's necessarily a fair comparison.
I hear what you're saying, but I do think it's interesting. It's not like we're seeing, year over year Mitsubishi sales through the roof, but they should be.
Well, what you say that and yes, I agree with you. It should be. What have we seen? We've seen huge year-over-year sales increases for Mazda. Okay, which Mazda has continued to produce relatively inexpensive in comparison to the rest of the market out there, quality used or quality new vehicles. Okay, in the $25,000 to $40,000 price range.
Yeah.
And their business is up considerably this year. They're one of the winning brands as far as sales increases. So I think there's still a market there. Subaru sales are up this year. Another brand that plays in the primarily the $25,000 to $40,000 price range. There are brands that are doing well, still trying to provide affordable, reasonably priced entry level vehicles. Ford is not at the moment, not especially with their pickup trucks. I mean, the average transaction price for a Ford pickup truck was $66,000. Now, I guess that includes, the handful of EVs that they've sold that are.
I like that argument, though. I saw this on Instagram. We posted, or on Instagram, just search CarEdge.
Yes.
The comments on a video I posted recently was, well, it's not fair to compare 2018 average transaction prices to 2023 average transaction prices because you're comparing different models. No, that's the exact reason to do the comparison, because the manufacturer has intentionally been producing more of the expensive models and fewer of the cheaper models. Like, that is exactly the reason. For those of you who didn't see our show on the CarEdge channel on Saturday night, it's all the data about the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, the automakers, who have increased their prices the most and the least. Ford in the past 5 years have increased the average transaction price of their vehicles since 2018 to today, 41%.
Yes.
Inflation is 21.5%. That's a business decision.
Absolutely, it is. A Hyundai Kia has
45%.
45%. Stellantis almost 49%. Those are business. You're absolutely right. Those are entirely business decisions. When somebody at Stellantis, at the Jeep division of Stellantis, signed off on the idea and the concept of the Grand Wagoneer, okay, with a starting price in the 90s, as the starting price, and we've seen them upwards of $115,000, $120,000. Well, that's what you expect to pay for a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, or you don't even expect to pay it for a Lexus, because I don't know of any Lexus that is that highly priced. A Grand Wagoneer is not an X7, at least not yet.
Look at this, Pops. It's not just car prices from Trinoculus. My auto insurance renewal just went up 25%. We don't talk about it on the show very frequently, but caredge.com/insurance, you can shop for rates with our agents. Yeah, go for it.
Well, if inflation has gone up 21.25%, I think
in 5 years.
In 5 years, and the least expensive of the big time manufacturers, their MSRPs have gone up 25.14%. That was Subaru. They had the smallest.
And Nissan was right there at 25.25%.
Okay. So, yeah, your insurance companies are looking at this and they're going, well, these cars are 25 to 50% more expensive today than they were 5 years ago. Well, yeah, your rates have to go up to insure them, because it's going to cost that much more to repair them. That's what happens when prices continue to go up like that.
I'm still kind of in disbelief by this, Pops. Again, it's not like we planned this, guys.
No.
The first F-150 Lightning Platinum that we pulled up has a 495 days supply, and this was in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's click on one more. Maybe that's just a fluke.
Okay.
Jacksonville, Florida. What do you think? Columbia, South Carolina?
Sure.
Well, this is just a lariat. Let's do Grapevine Ford here in Grapevine, Texas.
Okay.
It can't also be 495 days.
It's
115
only
days.
115, which is still almost double what the manufacturer and the dealers would like it to be.
We're doing one in North Carolina. 90
Just
days.
90
That's
days.
better. That's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So maybe it's regionalized a little bit. Maybe it's
It
regionalized.
very
but
well could be.
Ford's got not enough customers for these. They're cool looking. Don't get me wrong. They're cool looking.
Looks like a pickup truck. What do you mean they're cool
I
looking?
think it's cool looking, Dad.
Why? Because they got the light that goes on.
Yeah,
you
because
know.
they got the light
Yeah,
that goes
well,
around.
that's why I'd buy one. You know, the only reason I would buy a Volvo was because of those.
Thor. Yeah, remember the
Yeah.
Volvos with the Thor? Yeah, I thought those
Yeah.
were pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit, Dad. Let's talk about the state of auto loan delinquencies just for a quick second here. All right, back on Cox Automotive, we have these headlines, folks. Delinquencies that were 60 days or more increased in June for the second consecutive month and were up 18.7% from a year ago.
Yes.
This is the good news in the report that we're about to read. In June, 1.74% of auto loans were severely delinquent. That's over 90 days
Okay.
delinquent. That was up from May's 1.68%, the highest June rating dating back to at least 2006. So let that sink in for just a moment here, guys. We have the highest rate of severe auto loan delinquency since the Great Recession, since 06. 6.76% of subprime loans were severely delinquent. That was an increase, for the month from 6.48 in May. The real kicker here, the subprime severe delinquency rate was 101 basis points higher than a year ago. That's over 1% higher
Yes.
than a year ago. So we have these two antithetical conversations all the time on this show. You have automakers who have made vehicles that are at price points that are not attainable for the middle class, anyone really, except for those that have incredible disposable income. And then you have the booming auto repossession crisis, auto loan delinquency crisis that will lead to a repossession crisis. It is so interesting to have those two stories as like bookends to what's going on here, because they're at polar opposite ends of the spectrum. You shouldn't have to be going delinquent on your auto loan because you paid too much for a car that you actually can't afford. But all the data points to that's exactly what happened over the past 2-3 years.
Well, and that's because when we had the shortage between the manufacturers producing their higher end, higher profit margin vehicles because they had a limited supply of chips, so they put those chips in the vehicles that were going to make them the most money, and the dealers then, knowing that there was a shortage of vehicles, but the demand was way up there, adding all these additional dealer markups. So yeah, anybody who bought a car 2 years ago paid way too much, between the high MSRP and the $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 additional dealer markup. Well, what do you think's going to happen? Eventually that's going to catch up to people.
And the banks were complicit in all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
They enabled all of it.
It couldn't happen if the banks wouldn't have agreed.
It's not like consumers actually had the cash to show up, and
no, they didn't. So if the bank didn't agree to lend the money, if they didn't enable the dealership to ask for more by agreeing to lend way too much money against that vehicle, it would have never happened. The banks got so far out of their normal guidelines for loan to value ratios and how much over MSRP they were willing to finance. Let's not forget that if somebody paid a $20,000 dealer markup, well, that's $20,000 that is secured by nothing other than air. Yeah. Okay, because that's not $20,000 worth of vehicle. That's just, $20,000 of greed because the market was in such short supply. So, repos are going to tick up. Delinquencies are going to tick up.
They already have. Yeah.
And dealerships, as their inventory continues to grow, find it harder and harder to take their old customers and put them into a new car because you buried them 2 years ago.
Oh gosh.
There's lots of things that get sold in an F&I office. One of the things that they should have been selling 2 years ago was burial insurance.
Yeah. We'll have to do a video on this to really explain, but I mean, you're right. There's an entire, I mean, I'm not going to call it a generation, but there's like a group of people from the past 2 years that even if they wanted to get into a new car are so deeply underwater.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's not enough scuba gear.
There's not enough scuba gear
to help them.
All right, Pops, let's switch gears. Let's do our favorite segment.
Really? You got to be kidding me.
All right, Dad, we have talked about Ford a lot today, and we're going to continue that trend. The Raptor, Dad. The Raptor is one of the most popular trim levels or vehicles out there. This goes for the Ram TRX as well. This was shared with me just the other day. Well, first and foremost, dealership websites just drive me freaking crazy. So I just want to acknowledge that this drives me crazy. But there you go, Dad. The Andy's low price.
Yeah, that's after Raptor. a recent
This is after drop. A recent price drop.
Yeah.
$155,495 for your new Ford F-150 Raptor.
Just out of curiosity, but not that I would ever spend that.
Kudos to this dealer for advertising what appears to be a real price, by the way. I mean that genuinely.
Bless their hearts for doing that. I mean, when you're charging that, but I would love to see the Monroney label if they offer it, because that to me would be, I would be curious as to how much over MSRP they're charging for the vehicle.
All right, it is loading car pop. Oh, the window sticker you requested is not currently available.
Well, go figure.
You click on the button to get the window sticker, and that's what comes up. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. Well, I would have loved to have seen that.
I hope that's just a price, like a fluke. Like
yes.
I really, really, really hope that's a fluke. And Dad, it's worth mentioning. Let me pull this back up on the screen for everyone. This price is actually after. This is the classic dealership. Get them in with the low price, and it's not even that low of a price.
Yeah.
But look at that, Dad. Andy's low price is only after you get the $2,500 more trade guarantee.
Oh, what is that? Oh, 25 for Andy Moore Ford is awarding customers a minimum of $2,500 for any trade-in towards the purchase of any new Ford. Okay.
All right, so the price is actually $158,000.
Yes, but you know that you could show up. It has to drive in. You could show up with that 1977 Datsun King Cab. Okay.
Datsun King Cab.
Yeah. Let's go. We're taking the Wayback Machine. Okay. And as long as it drives,
you're getting that $2,500.
You're getting $2,500. Now, if you come in with any other reasonable trade-in in today's world, it's worth way more than $2,500. So they're giving you nothing.
All right, gang, want to remind you back at CarEdge.com. That's where we can help you. There's some new stuff dropping today. So get excited for that. But if you go back to CarEdge.com, you can search for cars here. You can sell your car through CarEdge and get more money. We've got the CarEdge report, Black Book, trade-in valuations, our out-the-door price calculator, CarEdge data, so you can pay the fair price every time you look at buying a car. CarEdge Coach, have pretty much someone like my dad in your pocket. We've got the extended warranty, the electronics warranty. We've got our auto, home, and renters insurance.
I promise not to take anything out of your pocket while I'm in your pocket.
Community forum, deal school, dealer reviews, our free guides, the free data, and our shop. There's so much stuff back at CarEdge.com. We appreciate everyone who heads over there and spends some time with us. Pops, let's call it a show for today.
Okay, let's call it a Monday.
We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be here. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, 8 a.m. in Anchorage, 6 a.m. in Honolulu. And for those of you in say, Tehran, I have no idea what time it'll be.
Have a good one, everyone. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.